Hello guys! So this video is completely brought to you by Mary Scott, who asked a bunch of questions on my not one and done video. So these are all questions about adopting a second child, and yeah, so the vegan question you asked in the second part, I'm going to do a separate video on. But yeah, so I'm just going to try to go through them. Do you want your second daughter to be close in age with your first, or will it not matter? So my plan is they will not be close in age. My first daughter, whose name is not Emmy, but I'm calling her Emmy. Emmy will be probably around 7 or 8 when my second daughter comes home. My second daughter will probably be between 2 and 4 when she comes home. I want an age gap for 2 reasons. One, because I think it's better to adopt a younger child in terms of early intervention, and 2, because Emmy will have, I almost said her actual name, she will have Down syndrome. So for her, developmentally, she's going to be younger. So I don't think it's a big deal to adopt a younger child than her because developmentally she won't be there. In real life, I call her by her actual name and not Emmy. So yeah, I almost slipped up. Anyway, if Emmy is 10 when you start a process, would you still want a baby or toddler, or will you be willing to adopt close in her age? Kind of just answered that, but if she was, say, 10, I would still be adopting toddler / young child. I think the maximum I would probably go is around 4-ish, and I would like, for early intervention's sake, I would rather have younger. One of the main special needs I am interested in is hearing impairment, and therefore the younger she is, the better it'll be for her, because I can start signing to her as soon as she comes home. So by the time she hits school, she'll already be signing and therefore be able to communicate with everyone. Have you thought about possible names for the second daughter? Yeah. No, I haven't. Emmy's name I've had since forever, like 2013. If you go back, I'll try to link it in the cards, but my very first video, I showed a onesie with her name blocked off, but that was her name. That's her name, is on this onesie that I've had since 2013. So Emmy's name has been set in stone. Her middle name's kind of floated into different things, but I have a middle name now picked that's, it's not set in stone, but it's in concrete that's currently setting. In terms of second name, like for my daughter, my second daughter's name, my leg's asleep. I have no clue. I kind of have a theme going on with names that I kind of want to stick with, but Taylor's over there sighing. I ruined it by calling Taylor because Taylor is like one of my favorite names, and I gave it to my dog. Her middle name is Rory from Doctor Who. Even though Rory was a boy. Yeah. Taylor was originally supposed to be Ronan from Stargate, but my mom convinced me to get this stupid little puppy that was a girl, and so I switched it to Taylor. And now Taylor's amazing, so I'm so glad things happened the way it did. But no, I don't have any names picked out. I honestly don't even know where to start with names. We'll see. I have a while, so yeah. We need to connect on like Instagram or something. So if you have Instagram, message me so we can actually chat, because sometimes the comment section it's hard to chat in. Would you consider adopting siblings, either this first adoption, or would you be open to adopting a sister set the second time? Okay, so I am not adopting siblings this time. No. I'm going to be a first-time parent. I want a daughter with Down syndrome. The chances of me getting a daughter with Down syndrome in a sibling set is probably not going to happen. And 2, sibling sets are harder to come by to begin with, because usually they just don't happen. Because usually for India, sorry, my leg's really asleep. For India, it's often a daughter that's given up, so it would have to be twins. Don't feel like adopting twins. Nope. Nope. So no, it's definitely not happening this time around. I don't know how, I don't think I could handle 2 at once to begin with. I briefly did think about it. I can't adopt unrelated children at the same time. If I could adopt 2 unrelated children at the same time, Chloe, who is on Reese's Rainbow, would be my daughter, and I would adopt a second girl with Down syndrome. I am totally loving Chloe. She's 6 years old and has a visual impairment. She's turning 7 early next year, and I'm totally in love with her. But unfortunately, I can't adopt 2 unrelated children at the same time, and Emmy is a little girl with Down syndrome. I already know that, so I can't go and adopt Chloe and then go back and adopt Emmy. Like, that just doesn't feel right to me. Anyway, so I can't adopt 2 unrelated, so I would have to adopt a sibling set. And I know I can't handle 2 at once. All my applications, I have selected single children only. In terms of the second time around, I'm gonna kick myself for saying this, but second time around, I think I'm gonna be more open to things. I do not want 3 children, I should say that. I do not want 3 children. Feel like two I can handle. 3, don't think I could. I also only plan on buying a 3-bedroom house. I also have Taylor. If we want to travel, I think having 3 kids, it's going to be too much for me. So I have 0 intentions of adopting a sibling set the second time, but I am not as close to it as I originally was. Special needs that I was open to that I'm open to now that I weren't before. So I think I'm more relaxed about them. Not necessarily hugely wide open to them, but I would consider them. Visual impairment is one of those. I used to live in a remote flying community that it would be pretty much impossible to have a child with a visual impairment because things just weren't set up for a child with visual impairment. Getting on and off planes that you have to climb ladders is not something that's possible when you have a visual impairment. And just getting around, things weren't accessible. So that was one thing that I was totally closed on before that I would consider now. Like I just said, Chloe has my heart. Some other things like spina bifida and cerebral palsy used to be completely no way. But now connecting with families who have children with cerebral palsy and with spina bifida, I'm more open to it. I'm also very fortunate that I'm now living in a city and I have more resources than I had before. So I think that helps with a lot of things too. HIV was another one that was a no way, whereas now it would be like I would consider it. So I don't know if I'm going to purposely go into my second adoption saying I specifically want a child with blah, blah, blah. If I do that, I can see me doing that for a hearing impairment. Being like, I want to find a little girl with a hearing impairment, the end. Or if I decide I do want a second with Downs, which before I was like, no way, I would never adopt a second with Downs. That's something I am open to now. So maybe I'm going to walk into the second one. Maybe Emmy's going to be so awesome that I know I want a second with Downs. And I might just walk in and be like, I want a second child with Down syndrome. Or like I said, hearing impairment. Or I could just be like, here's the things I'm open to. Universe, surprise me. So I don't know. Like I've always been open to stuff like club foot, cleft lip, cleft palate. I've always been open to quite a few things. What conditions are still a no-go and why? Pretty much like anything that is going to make them complete wheelchair bound, I think is pretty much a no-go. Just because of travel, I still want to travel, and I feel like, unfortunately, if a child is wheelchair bound, it makes traveling very challenging, and I still think that's a no-go. Anything that makes them, I don't want to say like severely brain damaged or to a point where they cannot ever have a chance of somewhat independence. As a single mom, I think it's going to be really hard if I were to do that to feel comfortable long term that I would have care in place for someone to take care of them. I know there's a big range with Down syndrome, but most children with Down syndrome can do some things independently and can at least possibly live in a group home or whatever. I have family members that would be willing to take them on. But if I had a child with such high medical needs that they would never live independently and would never be able to like big one for me is if they can't toilet on their own ever. If they're never going to toilet on their own, that's a huge one for me, because that's a huge thing, that you're constantly going to be having diapers, and it's going to be hard to find a caregiver who's willing to take that on if something were to happen to me. And I'm not going to be around forever, so even when they're 30, I'm going to have someone that would care for them, and I don't know if I can find that. So stuff like that is still a huge no-go for me. And I also don't want my first daughter to feel like the second daughter is such high needs that she doesn't get what she needs. I want them to have a sibling relationship, and I want them to be able to do stuff together. So anyway, what are the most popular special needs in India? As in, which one are the most prevalent with the children? Sadly, being female. Being female is probably the top reason a child is in an orphanage, is because she's a girl. Hearing impairments and visual impairments are also huge. Visual impairments especially are huge. Down syndrome is another big one. Spina bifida, anything that's going to basically make it harder for families to find spouses for them. Unfortunately, that's the reality, and that's why, like, my second one, hearing impairment is huge on my list. Cleft lip, cleft palate, any physical deformities, anything like that are huge on the list. You mentioned China briefly. Would you ever consider China once you have a house and you are debt free? Yeah, children age. She mentions too about children aging out of the system. In a lot of the adoption groups, okay, I'm going to backtrack to that and then to the aging out thing comment, and then I'm going to talk about China. I know a lot of people in my adoption groups that adopt older children and children that are about to age out. It is hard, very, very hard. Children who have lived in orphanages that long not only have the physical effects of it, but the emotional effects too. They will never be fully functioning. The amount of trauma they have experienced is insane. I will probably never adopt a child over 4, whether that be from Canada, would that be in another country. 4, maybe 5 would probably be my limit, because even children like my daughter coming home, she'll be home before she's 3 probably, is still going to have so much trauma. She'll be stimming, which is like doing stuff because they're so bored out of their minds. Like they wave their hands in front of their face. Some kids hit themselves or hit their heads on stuff. A lot do rocking. Just there's so much trauma. And I wish I could be one of those people that would be like, yeah, I'll take on whatever. I can do it. I can't do it. I'm not one of those people. There are people that I know that have like 7, 8 kids that are all special needs, that were all older children, and kudos to them. I'm not one of them. So I think for people who want to go into rescue a child that's about to age out, there is a lot to consider. A lot to consider. If you look at countries like Ukraine and Bulgaria, a lot of those children have been in cribs their entire lives. So imagine, Bulgaria is, I think, 16 in the US is the maximum you can adopt, 16 years old. So imagine a 16-year-old that's never been out of a crib, has been always in diapers, is extremely malnourished, and trying to take them home and care for them. It's horrible, but unfortunately I'm not one of those people. So for those that are interested in doing that, you need to do a ton of research. You need to look into what to expect in terms of what they've experienced, and also what it's possible that they might, how they might react and lash out. So anyway, China. So no, I will never adopt from China. I would love to adopt from China, but they're honestly a hard country to adopt from. They make their rules and regulations challenging. I think it's easier for me personally to adopt another daughter from India because they're going to have the same culture, they're going to have the same language. They might not originally have the same language, but I will be raising them both with Hindi. But for me, I feel like having one of the reasons I want to have a second is so that my first has a connection to her own culture with another person. So it's not like me as a white Canadian versus her, a darker skinned person from India, and no one else like her. There's people in the community, but not in terms of our family. So that's one reason why I won't adopt from China. The other reason is the regulations. Right now, I can't adopt from them. Even if I lost weight, had the money, had the net worth, and could magically fit all the requirements, they changed the regulations, and not in a nice way. This year, I was very angry at them. There was a lot of families that were exempt from certain things in order to bring home children with special needs. They got exemptions, they were ready to go, they had started the process, and then all of a sudden China said, nope, no more exemptions. And these people lost their children. I don't care if they never held their children before, they lost their children. These children are sitting in orphanages still because China decided to change the regulations. Why does it matter that this person doesn't meet the exact requirements that you're requesting when they are clearly a better choice than an orphanage? So for me, get off my soapbox. For me, I do not want to enter into an adoption where I don't know that I'm coming out the other end with a child. I don't want to go in and be like, yes, I meet all the requirements of China, start the adoption process, have a child matched with me, have a child in mind, be going through the process, and China change something and me be like, oh, I just lost my daughter. I don't want to go through that. I don't. I'd much rather go into a more secure program. Yes, India might take more time or whatever. Yes, little girls from China are so stinking cute, but let me tell you, little girls from India are too. Currently following one. I'll try to remember to post the link down below to the channel. But she's a little girl with Down syndrome that was adopted in India, is living in India. Her parents are from India. And she is really stinking cute. I'm totally in love with her. And if my daughter is half as cute as her, I have no problem loving her. Not that I'll probably have any problems either. Anyway, but yeah. So that was a really long video. Thanks, Mary, for all the questions that you asked, because I'm sure other people were thinking them. And if they weren't too bad, they still get this video. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to post those down below. Thanks for watching, and I shall see you guys later. Bye, guys.